Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. We Are Ready, Friends, written by Rex Morey. The first alien we contacted face-to-face was, to be completely honest, ugly as sin. Softly, doughy skin made of soft edges and fur instead of scales and spikes. Deep-set eyes and squashed face. The damn thing didn't even have a tail for tense, frill, or inflection, or chromatophores for tone, or deficit made up of the mechanical armatures and screens set into the seat of the creature. I adhered to the formalities as befitted my station, and greeted the thing with my tail raised in respect, frill and attention and vermilion. Nobleman Karahur greet you. Are you most comfortable having this conversation in the low or the ecumenical tongue? It was a small slight against the thing, but one I thought I could get away with. It wasn't until the creature responded in perfect high that I was put on the back foot. Nobleman, high is demanded for matters of state in the formalities, is it not? I wouldn't want to start us off with a disrespect towards you. Unfortunately, my title does not translate, so you would have to call me Tutor. Tutor Raka is close enough to my name. The darkness of his vermilion told me he knew that I'd been trying to get a position of power over him, but his usage of high without permission meant that he was equal in having both breached the formalities. So, what is it that you want, Tutor? A touch of pinkly, I might admit. But I was not used to being caught off guard. I am here to negotiate our integration into the galactic community at large. Surely, such an effort on your part requires an equivalent effort on ours. What do you need? Labor, goods, food? What could we possibly give you to warrant such an uplifting? The tutor let loose a rapid belt of noise, similar to a vehicle failing to start. It's truly no problem. This will be one of the easiest jobs that we'll have done in a long time. You already know what languages, after all. At my quizzical tail quirk, he elaborated. Most species do not have the idea that anything could communicate in any way other than the way they do. You have languages, though, and more than most. When we reached the stars, we found our nearest neighbors fighting between each other because they couldn't understand each other. One would attempt to give a gesture of peace by unloading their weapons into empty space, and the other would see that as a threat. He leaned forward and said in the growing azure, but their languages were so similar they both used nearly identical grammar structures. They just failed to think that the other wouldn't speak their language, so we helped them connect. I do not see why that would make us easier to introduce to the galaxy, I said in growing purple. The tutor seemed to get much more excited than I was comfortable with, particularly at this temperature. Well, it's mostly done, after all. The language-to-language protocols are already finished. All of your language have similar structure to one of ours, so it was just simpler transfer of terms. In addition to your body language and culture is codified with formalities, so we didn't need to make a guide to it from scratch. Really. This is all fairly rote stuff. His beige tint of boredom aggravated me, and so in a burgundy tone I asked him, You never told me what your species gets out of this. It's all seeming too good to be true. Well, for one, we don't have to go to war, he sprawled flared unsettlingly. For another, there is no way that you can hide anything from us. Encryption is another form of language, after all, and we're very good at languages. We have to be. We have over 6,000. We already know all of your secrets, all of your ecclesiastical classes' scientific findings. Your electromagnetic spectrographic equipment is rudimentary, but would be useful. We would know the second that you even thought of getting aggressive towards us. You are already an ally to us. You just don't know it yet. And allies help each other. His frill was fully extended and a deep azure. So this is a gift. We bring you into the galactic community free of charge. You've already paid, after all. Transcription of the account of the first meet of nobleman Kaharaher of the Kaharaha hegemony and translator Rick Duggins of the United Human Planets. End of story. Story number 2. Play with Fire, written by Mercury the Dealer. The first thing that any sapient species learns is to master fire. If you master fire, you can cook the meat of your prey, scare away predators, burn forests to make way for pastures and villages. But fire is also a weapon. A wooden hut is no match to the hungry flame of a torch. Walls and towers become the ovens that cook any unlucky enough to be inside. The thirst of Prometheus kills more than any spear. Eventually, your control of fire will be so great that you will learn to melt metal and forge tools for mining, farming, and, most importantly, killing. The fire brings copper spear, the bronze sword, the iron musket, and eventually the hyper-alloy laser gatlings of the modern day. The fire goes down from a weapon to a tool that makes weapons. That is how all sapiens develop. Except for one. The humans were not very interesting when we found them. The tech was average. Their rail guns were good, but not revolutionary. And their biology was impressive. But their low birth rate meant that they would be bodyguards for the wealthy instead of replacing the soldiers as common troops. But then something interesting happened. Or rather, something didn't happen. No pirates raided the humans. It was an abnormality. Almost every sapient species, as soon as they are introduced, immediately ask for help in dealing with the pirates that flood their territory, expecting unprepared prey. The humans didn't ask for help. If anything, they seemed unaware that there were even pirates entering their territory. News spread among the scum of the galaxy that anyone who boarded a human ship never came back. These rumors led to many courageous young men trying to be the one who stole a human ship, and even more rumors when none of them came back. Traders caught on that humans seemed impervious to piracy and bought their ships. Said ships were promptly stolen by pirates, thus proving that the humans themselves were the reason that no one came back. Soon the humans were the haulers of the galaxy. The human nations of the United Nations of Terra to the Empire of the Southern Cross all signed an unofficial treaty. Don't say a word as to how they keep away pirates. Don't take prisoners and monopolize the hell out of the transport industry. It went well for the first few years. Humans got rich, their companies got influence, and their haulers got to spend an awful lot of time drunk on alien worlds. Then, the Confederacy declared war on the Empire of the Southern over some colonies. With the Imperial troops came the Unidades Imperius de Chama, and tales of those who fought them. And the tales were simple. Fire. Modern armor has always been made of flexible and programmable material that detects heat and fully hardens after a certain limit is achieved. It is a great method for dealing with laser fire, since lasers work by focusing heat in a specific point and burning everything attached to said point. The UIC didn't use lasers though. They used something called Promethean fire as their fuel for their Langsartophage. The chemical was a lot like ancient napalm, but the main exception being that it burned much harder. Hard enough that it triggered the hardened command of the enemy's armor, and since the fire spread through most of the body, the entire system would lock, thus preventing them from fighting back. The process was simple. Get to where the enemy is, flood them with absolute gigantic amount of Promethean fire, and either capture or execute the now frozen enemies. That is how humans captured pirates. They just set them ablaze and launched them into the vacuum. The Confederacy tried to fight back, of course. Generals ordered their troops to set higher and higher hardening temperatures, which the humans responded to by creating even hotter versions of Promethium. Then, the humans lowered the temperature of their lasers and went on a full offensive against the Confederacy. When the Imperial troops met the enemy, their lasers were just below the temperature that triggered a full hardening of the armor. In 2 weeks, the Confederacy signed a treaty of surrender. The treaty was filed with reparations, promises of demilitarization. The Empire got the title of protector of all humans in the Confederacy, which was basically them giving themselves the right to declare war at will under the pretense of protecting their kind. Boring things. But most importantly, it gave the rest of the galaxy a clear message. Don't invade our borders, play with fire, and you'll get burned. End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I'd just like to give a quick thanks to the T5 channel members and patrons: Alithia, Parky, Fudic Meridian117, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Angry Marine, Lord Azrakal, and White Van 420.